Hi, in this video, I will talk about why Elsword will never be able to develop or will collapse without a foreign player. When you talk about development, the first thing that might be in your mind is money, right? Yeah, I will bring you into some economic and financial related topics in this video. And I know that you already say that, oh, no. This topic is so stressful for us gamers, and I just want to enjoy the game. Yes, I know that, but if we can be able to influence the developer to do what we want, we need to have a bit of financial knowledge too. And I will try my best to make it easy to understand. Let's start with the money that they got from the foreign player first. And you can see it as I draw on the screen. All of the money will go to foreign publishers like Nexon North America, Gameforge, NHN, etc. And those foreign publishers need to pay the license to the license holder, which is Nexon. But why Nexon? Not KOG? Well, in some situations, the developer or the game creator needs to give the publisher hold some of the license and right to the game to make the publisher can manage the finances for the developer. And yeah, most of the game developers are not good at something like financial thing. No. I think most people know nothing about finances, so this is why they need an expert to handle this. And then the developer can focus on developing the game. Well, after the foreign publisher got the money from the play, they need to pay the license to Nexon for 25% of their sale. But the license royalty was usually around 10% up to 20%, and 25% is just my feeling, and the Nexon will give 5% up to 10% because the one who plays the major role with the foreign is Nexon. And because of KOG or not have enough money to can help the Nexon publish the game. Yeah, KOG just didn't have money to do this, so that is why I give KOG 5% to 10% while most of the developers can take up to 35% depending on how much they put their money into publishing their game. And this is one of the business models that they might use for the Elsword. And this is how much they got the money from the inside country players. And why does Nexon get a massive 80% but not KOG? Well, as I said before, KOG did not have any money to can publish their game, and I feel like Nexon have a big influence on KOG and can dictate KOG's idea about how KOG develops the Elsword, especially the cash shop. And this is why KOG is not caring about foreign players, because they think that they can survive with just 20% from just only one country. And this is the reaction when KOG getting the money from the Korean players. Well, the number may not be accurate, but I think that Nexon has a lot of influence on KOG. And that is why I think KOG got only 20% while they can call it up to 35%. And this is one of the business models that they might use in Elsword. Alright, let's talk about how Elsword will never develop in any future without foreign players. And the tool that I use to analyze the game market is very simple, which is 1. How many gamers are in that country, 2. Average income for each person, 3. Average cost of living. And you can induce the players to play your game no matter what the game type if your marketing advertising is right. Like, if you want to induce a group of players that love to be on social media, love to find and chit-chat with the opposite gender for their own happiness, or to find a girlfriend or boyfriend. Yes, you still can induce them to play your game even though your game was a hardcore grinding and pay to win. But you can still induce those players by doing the right advertising and still not ruining the gameplay style. Well, what I want to tell you is, it's regardless of the game type, and you can induce every gamer to play your game if you're genius enough and put in enough effort. So, let's calculate these and start with Korea. Oh, I forgot. Let me show you how I will calculate first. I can only find the percentage of South Korean gamers from the total South Korean population. So let's calculate the total of South Korean gamers first. This is the South Korean total population. And the number of gamers in South Korea is about 74.4% of the total population. And this is how I find the total of Korean gamers. You can calculate by yourself, and the data you can find it on the Google. And let's put the result on the notepad. Next is to find how much money the South Korean gamers have each month by calculating it from the average income, cost of living. This is the average income according to the data from the Google. This is the cost of living in South Korea. And this is the possibility of money that the game company will get from South Korean gamers. But I don't think that all South Korean gamers will use all of their money invested into the game, so let's use 5% of it. This is the possibility of that South Korean gamers will invest in the game for each person. And this is how I calculate the possibility of the money that game companies will get from South Korean gamers by calculating the total number of gamers, multiple it with the 5% of their money in their pocket. But Elsword is not the only game that South Korean gamers will play, so the possibility will go lower, like 5% of this $4.5 billion. But let's stick with the total number, for now, to make you can see the overall picture. And the other country that I will use to compare is 1. United States 2. Europe 3. Japan 4. China 5. Taiwan and 6. Brazil. And I will not calculate all of them in this video, so let's see the result. And here is the result after calculation. And you will wonder, where is the data that I used to calculate? You can find it on Google, but don't trust the data about China on the internet, because most of them, almost 100%, was fake. And if this data was true, that means all of the 1.4 billion Chinese citizens will have an average income of $4,534 per month. That looked like a fantasy land for me in my knowledge about China. And yeah, I know about the politic about China well, and I have do a research a lot in the past about China, so according to my experience, this data is not trustworthy. And you can see the difference between the purchasing power between the country that everyone accepts as a leader of the world, United States, and China, when you calculate with the data that you got from the Google. And you can see the difference with the simple data, and how can the country that has a second GDP has more purchasing power than the number first GDP? That does not make sense, right? This is why Nexon was keep focusing on the China market rather than the Western market by using data from Google and has zero knowledge about the China politic. And this is why Nexon will collapse soon if you still doing the same and trust this data. And what is the data that I think that is more trustworthy and makes sense? Here. China's premier has told it himself, that over 600 million Chinese has a $140 monthly income. And I trust the data from the inside more than the outside. And China is a country of censorship, as you know. So, let's recalculate China and use the cost of living for $100 to make me can calculate, and if I use the average cost of living from Google, it's $566. The number will become negative after calculating. And here is the number after recalculate. And you can see that the Western market is the biggest game market if you care about the possibility of the money that you will get, but if you only care about the number of the players, yes, you can focusing on the Asian market. First, let's talk about the United States. I don't worry about the United States, and the United States is the largest liquidity in the world, so nothing wrong with focusing more on the United States. And you might talk about inflation, and the United States has printed a lot of money right now, but you know what? Every country was printing money right now and inflation was everywhere. But the difference between the United States and other countries is every country, or maybe 80% in the world including the BRIC, had debt in dollar, and the only one that can be printed the dollar is the United States, while the other country needs to buy the dollar in the forex. And you can see the US Federal Reserve has aggressive rate hike to fight the inflation and make the dollar get stronger and stronger. And the other country also has a lot of demand in dollar to pay their debt or import the goods. So stop talking about inflation in the United States and the replace of the dollar for the world reserve currency, and I can tell you that, when the United States sneeze, the others will get sick or maybe dead, and every country is also always get the positive trade balance and make a profit from the United States, while the United States is always at loss. Well, I don't want to go deeper into this, and as I said, it's nothing wrong to focusing more to the United States market. Next is Europe. When you look at Europe, you will see a lot of indexes about Europe being at the top, like GDP per capita, and the quality of life index. And what causes the quality of life to get very high? Yes, it's money to develop the country, and maybe you do not know that Europe was the home of many global elite. And you might ask about the situation in Russia and Ukraine, and Russia will not sell the oil to Europe and Europe will die? No. 60% of Russia's oil income came from Europe, and Europe is the only one that will buy the oil at the market price, not at the discount like other countries. So I don't worry about the oil situation in Europe, and they can still buy it from Norway, Middle East, and the United States. Well, in my view, Europe is doing fine and didn't have a problem like demographic crisis or something like that, so nothing wrong with the Europe market. And here is the thing that I was worried about, is the fertility rate in Japan, South Korea, and China now have a problem with a demographic crisis, have a high suicide rate, and have people die more than being born due to the social structure. Young people can't afford to have babies because of have not enough money. And the tension between China and the other Asian countries in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. And what is the future? The future means, young people. If the young people are not doing well, the future will not be doing well too. So, the Asian markets, like China, Japan, and South Korea, will have a problem in the near future in my view. But you still might not see it because Nexon's stock price is doing well, But yeah, it might keep doing well until the end of years 2024 because of U.S. Federal Reserve pumped the liquidity to the market to prevent the bank collapse in 2024, and the term that the U.S. Federal Reserve gave the banks to pay their debt is 12 months. And the end of the term was around April 2024, and if the banks can't pay their debt and forced to liquidate their asset, they will collapse, and that is why the U.S. Federal Reserve need to pump the liquidity to the market to increase the price of their asset, and then they can get out of the water now. So yeah, you might survive until the end of the year 2024, and if the Nexon was not doing good, you can see what happened in Ukraine. And what happened in Ukraine now is 60% of the building in Ukraine was owned by the BlackRock. And here is why you need to worry about the BlackRock and also the Vanguard Group. When I look at Nexon's shareholders in February, I see the Vanguard Group was at the last place in the chart and didn't have a BlackRock on the chart, but I do not screenshot it, and now look who is here on the chart. Well, the situation that will bring Asians to go into like in Ukraine is the tension in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. And Nexon was heavily reliant on the Asian market will heavily affect by this too. And why I said until the end of the year 2024 is because we have a US president and Taiwan presidential election in November 2024. It depends on the outcome of these two elections now. If the outcome was good, maybe the tension in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait will be relaxed. And if the outcome was bad, you can look at what happened in Ukraine, and I will not talk deep into this, so you should diversify more and don't dependent on the Asian market too much. Well, what I want to tell you is, you need to diversify and care more about the foreign player. And the 5% from the rest of the world is huge and a lot larger than the 20% from only Korean players. So, optimize your market strategy, and that strategy needs to benefit the players all around the world, not only Korean players. And stop this behavior too. Thank you for watching and have a good day.